Welcome. Let me ask you something that hurts. How many times have you started learning English seriously? 10 times? 20 times? 50 times? You get motivated. You make a plan. You start practicing. For 3 days, you're unstoppable. For a week, you're committed. But then, slowly, you miss one day. Then 2 days. Then a week. And suddenly, you've stopped completely. Again. This cycle has repeated so many times that you've started to believe something terrible. Maybe I'm just not disciplined. Maybe I'll never be consistent. Maybe fluency is not for me. But today, I'm going to show you the truth. You're not failing because you lack discipline. You're failing because you don't have the right system. This is not just a video. This is your final solution to the consistency problem. So don't just watch. Feel this video, because by the end, you will understand how to build unbreakable habits that lead to fluency. Before we begin, let me say this. This video is powerful for your English too. Because when you master consistency, everything else falls into place. So get ready. Let's begin. The problem. You rely on motivation instead of systems. Let me tell you about a woman named Priya. Priya had started learning English 15 times in 5 years. Every time, she would watch a motivational video and feel inspired. She would tell herself, "This time is different. This time I'll be consistent." She would practice for a week, sometimes 2 weeks. But then life would happen. Work would get busy. Family would need her attention. She would feel tired. And slowly, she would stop practicing. The motivation would fade. The excitement would die. The commitment would disappear. And a few months later, she would watch another motivational video and start again. This cycle destroyed her confidence. She started believing she was lazy, undisciplined, hopeless. But the truth was different. Priya wasn't lazy. She was just using the wrong strategy. She was relying on motivation. But motivation is temporary. She needed a system, a structure, a habit that didn't depend on how she felt. Because motivation gets you started, but systems keep you going. The truth, consistency is not about willpower. Here's what most people don't understand about consistency. Consistency is not about having strong willpower. Consistency is about removing the need for willpower. Let me explain. When you brush your teeth every morning, do you need motivation? No, you just do it, automatically, without thinking. When you take a shower, do you need willpower? No, it's just a habit, part of your routine. These actions don't require motivation because they're systems, they're habits. And that's exactly what you need to do with English practice. You need to turn it into a habit, a system, something you do automatically without needing motivation. Most people try to practice English through willpower. Today, I will force myself to practice for 2 hours. But willpower is exhausting. It runs out. And when it runs out, you stop. But habits don't run out. Habits are automatic. You need to build a practice habit so strong that you do it even when you don't feel like it. Not through force, through routine. Why big goals kill consistency. Let me tell you why most people fail at consistency. They set huge goals. I will practice English for 2 hours every day. I will watch 3 English movies every week. I will read 1 English book every month. These goals sound impressive, but they're impossible to maintain. Why? Because they require too much time, too much energy, too much commitment. On day 1, you're motivated, so you do it. On day 5, you're tired, but you push through. On day 10, you have a busy day. You can't find 2 hours, so you skip. And once you skip, the habit breaks, the consistency dies. This is why big goals fail. They're not sustainable. They require too much willpower. But small goals succeed. Because small goals don't require willpower. They're easy. They're doable, even on bad days. Let me give you an example. I will practice English for 2 hours every day is hard to maintain, but I will shadow 5 sentences every day is easy. Even on your busiest day, you can find 5 minutes to shadow 5 sentences. And when you do this every single day for months, something magical happens. The small habit becomes automatic. And once it's automatic, you can grow it. 5 sentences become 10 sentences. 10 sentences become 20 sentences. And before you know it, you're practicing 30 minutes a day without any effort. Because it's a habit now, not a goal. The solution. The minimum viable practice at Pro English Zone. We teach something called minimum viable practice. This means the smallest amount of practice you can do every single day no matter what. Not the ideal practice. Not the perfect practice. The minimum practice. Because consistency beats intensity. Always. Practicing 10 minutes every day for 6 months beats practicing 2 hours once a week. Always. Here's how we implement this in the 6-month Fluency Challenge. Phase 1. Build the daily habit. In the first 2 months, we don't ask you to practice for hours. We ask you to do one simple thing every day. Listen to English for 15 minutes. That's it. Just 15 minutes. Even on your busiest day, you can find 15 minutes. While commuting, while cooking, while exercising. And because it's so small, it's easy to stay consistent. After 60 days of doing this every single day, it becomes a habit. You don't think about it anymore. You just do it. Phase 2. Add the second habit in months 3 and 4. We add shadowing. But again, we keep it small. 10 minutes of shadowing every day. You already have the listening habit. Now you add a small shadowing habit. Still manageable. Still sustainable. Phase 3. Expand naturally by months 5 and 6. You have 2 solid habits, listening and shadowing. And because they're habits, they don't require effort anymore. Now you can naturally expand. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because the habit is strong. This is how you build consistency, not through massive effort, but through small, sustainable habits. The 6-month Fluency Challenge. Your consistency system now, you're probably thinking, but I've tried building habits before and failed. I understand. Building habits alone is hard. Because when life gets busy, habits break. That's why you need a system, a structure, accountability. And that's exactly what the 6-month Fluency Challenge provides. For 6 months, we give you a clear daily practice plan. Not overwhelming, not impossible, just clear, minimum viable practice. We remind you every day. We keep you accountable. We make consistency easy. We design the system so that even on your worst day, you can still practice. Because we understand that life is messy, work is demanding, energy is limited, but consistency is still possible. When you have the right system, this is not just a course. This is a consistency-building machine. But here's what you need to know. The challenge is coming soon, and spots will be limited. So if you've struggled with consistency your entire life, if you're tired of starting and quitting, you need to act now. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. Because when the challenge launches, I will announce it here first. Stop relying on motivation. Start building systems. Hit subscribe now. How many times have you started and quit? What's the biggest reason you lose consistency? Write your answer in the comments. Your honesty will help others realize the real problem is not discipline, it's systems. Thank you for watching this video. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're ready to finally solve the consistency problem. Remember this. You're not undisciplined. You're not lazy. You're not hopeless. You just didn't have the right system. Consistency is not about being superhuman. Consistency is about being systematic. You don't need 2 hours of practice. You need 15 minutes of habit. You don't need perfect motivation. You need a simple routine. You don't need to practice when you feel like it. You need to practice even when you don't feel like it. And the only way to do that is through small, sustainable habits. Start small, stay consistent, build the habit. And one day you'll look back and realize you've been practicing every day for months without even thinking about it. Because it became who you are. Subscribe now, join Pro English Zone, and get ready for the 6-month Fluency Challenge. Your consistent, unstoppable, fluent future starts today. Stay strong, stay focused, stay natural, and I'll see you in the next video.